Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining me. This is our movement section of the Morning Mastery program. Today, what we're going to do is do a very gentle warm-up. So this can be done on its own, or if you want to do some more vigorous exercise, you can add this as a warm-up and then go into that sort of the heavier exercise program. I wouldn't recommend doing something like jumping out of bed and going for a run right away. That's probably going to be very harmful for our joints, especially if we're not hydrated or we haven't done this type of activity before. So be very careful if you're going to be doing more vigorous exercise. However, today we're just going to start with a very gentle body warm-up. So what this does is it's going to pump the body, it's going to get the joints lubricated, it's going to get your breathing set, and it's also going to allow you to articulate certain parts of your body independent of other parts. And why that's important is because we have greater mastery over our body once we can kind of isolate it, and then we start to integrate it into bigger patterns. But if we can't isolate it well, then we're not probably moving very well. So we're going to start from the feet. We're going to work our way all the way up. So when you're ready, we'll come up. Make sure you've got some comfortable clothes on. You've got maybe a mat on the floor. That's all you need to do this. And it's going to be very brief. So you can tie this into the first thing you do in the morning. Maybe you could do the breathing first or this, whatever you like. But it's a great little warm up to your day. Okay? So let's just start. I'd like you to think about taking a good 2 deep breaths in. And you might want to close your eyes and just try and think about breathing that 3-dimensional breath down and wide across your hips. Okay, and you want to think of your posture getting a little taller towards the ceiling, your collarbone staying wide and your hips staying soft. We don't want to be gripping up in our glutes. We want to keep them nice and soft. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our ankles. So all I'm going to get you to do is you're just going to move your heel off. You will be bending your knee with this too. But what I'd like you to do is as you lift the heel off and then the other heel, you want to maintain your core pretty straight. So again, we're trying to isolate most of our ankle joint as you lift and lower. You might feel that one is a little bit more restricted than the other. The other thing too is if any of this hurts, please don't do it because you don't want to injure joints that might not be ready for this type of thing, or if you have joints that are already hurting. So just be careful, but I do find this type of work very liberating for the body's tissues. So see how you feel. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to get you to roll your ankles so you can go right to left, okay? But you can see again, I'm not really moving my hips. I'm still breathing and I'm maintaining a nice tall spine. So we're just warming up the feet. There's 26 bones in the foot and ankle, so we want to just kind of gradually start to move those bones around and also the muscles within the foot and ankle complex. Good. Now what you're going to do is you're going to slowly lift your toes, spread them out, and then just drop them down. So again, just the toes. And this can be very difficult for people, so just go gently, but you want to see if you can have your toes kind of independent of the rest of your foot. And we'll go 2 more like that, just lifting the toes, dropping them down. Lifting the toes, dropping them down, okay? Now we're gonna move on to the knees. If you have any knee issues, stay with the ankle for now because this might not be great for people with knee problems, but it can be a great warm-up. This is one of the ones I do before I run. So I'm gonna get you to go into sort of a short stop position here. Your core is long, your seat bones are wide, and you're just gonna do a little bit of a circle in a round way, so like circles are, just where you're moving very gently the knee complex. You'll feel it in other parts of your body, but the majority right now is right in the knees. And then we're gonna do another one, and then we're gonna go the opposite direction. And you can take it bigger or smaller, whatever feels good. But again, please go gently with this, and if you've got knee issues, just skip it. Okay, we're gonna go a couple more. Breathing deeply. Okay, and then we're gonna come up. We're gonna go into the hips now, so I'm gonna get you to take your feet hip width apart. You're gonna soften your knees, and we're just going to tuck your bum under and then flare your seat bones out. So one of my mentors talked about, Paul Chek I think it was, talked about Pink Panther and Daffy Duck. So Pink Panther, we're tucking our bums under. Daffy Duck, we're sticking our butts out, okay? And then see if you can inhale when you're in this position, Daffy Duck. Exhale when you're in Pink Panther. So again, we always want to get that breath down into the hips. And this can be very good just to mobilize your hips independent of your rib cage, because some people move the whole thing when they move. We want to learn how to isolate these hips from the rib cage so you can move independently. Really important. Also really good for the lower back if it's not painful. Okay, next we're going to come facing forward again. This time I'm going to get you to do a side bend. So you're going to reach down to your left, bring yourself back to center, reach down to your right. And again, just like the breathing, notice if there's a restriction more on one side than the other. What that usually means, if we're going down to the right, it's usually the left side that could be a little tighter, preventing us from reaching. So we just want to notice these imbalances. Everybody has them. And that's something that we can start to focus on to try and bring balance to that area of the body. And breath can go a long way. So if you're restricted on your left side, you want to breathe into that left side. Okay? Good. Now we're going to come into the rib cage. So you're going to separate your feet. You're going to bring your arms out very gently. I don't want you straining your neck with this. And you're going to bring your palms up. And what we're going to do a rib cage shift. So what you're going to do is you're going to slowly rotate to your left, come back to center, not rotate, sort of shift, and then rotate to your right. And this morning, I can feel that I have a little bit of an issue with my right side. So we're just going to keep going from one side to the next, noticing any restrictions, even noticing if we can't do this. That's a big thing too, that we don't have the mobility within our ribs. Okay, and the postman's going to drop something off. I'm going to hear it in a second. Almost here. There it is. Good. And then we're going to just drop the hands. Now let's just roll the shoulders out. So you're going to take some big full breaths. Just rolling the shoulders and getting all the musculature around the shoulders, the rotator cuff, also your shoulder blade. Try and feel if you can feel it come forward and wide and then back and together as you go back. So we want to get all that musculature open. Good. Now that we've kind of warmed up the body, you can probably feel there's some movement in the tissues. Like I was saying, this is a great practice to do before you do something more vigorous, and it's just a gentle way to get into the body. Now I'm going to go back to Paul Chek, actually, my mentor in the Chek Institute. He taught me about the Zen Swing, and I love this exercise. So if you just do this exercise every day, it's a great exercise to pump the whole system. It basically regulates your right and left hemisphere of the brain, which produces a sense of well-being. So it's a great exercise, and it's rhythmical too, because anything rhythmical usually is very calming to our nervous system. And what's great about it is it just balances us. So if we need more energy, it's going to give us more energy. If we need less, it'll bring it down. So let's start. We're going to do a few minutes of this. What I'd like you to do is you take your feet hip width apart. You're going to kind of go into, if you play golf, like you're addressing a golf ball, that type of sort of bend. Again, if you've got any issues with your low back, I wouldn't recommend this. Try and do it from straight up. But what you're going to do is with your hands on your hips, you're going to notice that your seat bones won't widen, that you're bent. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the hands out in front and we're going to start to rotate. So as you can see, I not only rotate my shoulders, waist, but again, I'm getting into my hips again. So you want to let the arms go and you want to think of a nice tall cylinder, that you're reaching the crown of the head up gently and that you're just rotating from one hip to the other. And what this does is it's creating sort of an internal rotation of your hip joint, which you can really feel across the back of the hips if you're tight. And then I want you guys to drop into your breathing. So in through the nose, out through the mouth or the nose. If you can, try and stay with the nose. And let's go for a good full minute. Not moving your head stays pretty straight. You're looking at one point, focused forward, and just let the body go. creating that rhythmical movement. And usually you can tell when a minute's up, because if you're breathing 5 count inhale, 5 count exhale, or something close to that, it's usually about 5 to 6 breaths is about a minute. So slowing the breath down, getting it right down into the pelvis if you can. Good, and then we're just gonna come back to center. Again, you can do that just as your warm-up. It's fantastic for a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you like. And now what I'd like you to do is just come back to your regular posture, and we're just gonna leave with sort of a sense of where our posture is in space. So the feet face forward, your hips stay relatively soft. I want you to think about getting very long through the crown of your head as you tuck your chin, and wide across your collarbones, okay? So we don't wanna be slumped, we wanna have a nice open posture. And for the next 2 breaths, I want you to close your eyes and just see if you can breathe like that elevator breath down and wide across your hips, and really feel your body connected to the floor, but light through the upper body. And just noticing maybe a tingling sensation of the energy you've produced in the last 5 minutes. And then we're going to open the eyes. And thank you very much. You can repeat this program as much as you want, or create something like it on your own, or even just your own exercise program. But waking up and doing some sort of movement first thing is definitely part of a morning mastery miracle. So have a great day, everyone.